Hey friends and IADR members, thank you very much for joining us on the Member Spotlight. Today we are going to be talking with Fredo Hernandez. He joins us from Frey'Dez Studios, and he has been an IADR member and also most recently an administrator and videographer for IADR for the past, I want to say, couple of years or so. So let's get to know this guy. Welcome, Fredo. Thank you very much for joining us on the Member Spotlight. And I guess we'll start off with what inspires you the most? Why do you create? What gets your imagination going for you to create the type of art that you do?
Inspiration. I am a huge nature lover. Honestly, big tree hugger. But I absolutely love the environment and being outside in nature. I love going on trails and going for hikes and walks, especially ones where, there's rivers and streams and waterfalls, or even better. But just being outside in nature does the same thing to me as being at the beach, by the coast. It's just instant therapy. Tons of stress melt off, and because of that, the inspiration and the ideas start to flow. It's much easier and less clogged in my brain when I'm in a state of complete relaxation. So that's one of my biggest inspirations. Another inspiration that I have is, no surprise, the fantasy genre. So any type of fantasy show, fantasy movie, could be from superhero to Lord of the Rings style to Avatar, just anything fantasy. And I think a lot of us draw our inspiration from that as well, the majority that are in the one-of-a-kind niche.
So do you come from an artistic or creative family, or is this just something that you kind of fell into and wanted to explore further on your own?
I would say more creative family. My father was in a band with all of his brothers for many years since I was young. I remember going to all of their band practices in my grandma's garage. So I was always around music. I think that's one of the reasons why I have such a huge passion for singing as well. I love to sing. Singing does the same thing to me that nature and the ocean do. I literally feel the stress leave my body. Singing makes me feel incredibly empowered, and it's almost like taking a really cold shower and getting that jolt of maybe reality, and then coming out with a slightly better perspective on things. My youngest sister is actually a pastry chef, so she's very into that. My brother, he is going to go to college for video editing, so he's very into video. Wonder where he got that. That's really all that I can think of as far as my family goes. Everybody else is pretty corporate centric, I guess.
Okay, so before you begin a piece, do you spend a lot of time on preparation and research and homework just to get everything planned out so that you know exactly what your sculpture is going to be like at the finished product? Or are you just more a kind of go with the flow artist? Like I know a lot of our viewers are. They just kind of have some kind of idea on their head, and then they just start working, and then they allow the piece to kind of guide them onto what they feel that the piece is telling them that it wants to be.
I do spend a lot of time planning. I am somewhat of a control freak when it comes to my artwork. I know a lot of my artist buddies are the opposite. They just kind of let go and let flow, but I'm not like that at all. I spend a ton of time on Pinterest. I create boards for each piece that I'm working on, because I pin a lot of different ideas to that board, because each picture will give me a specific idea of what I want a certain aspect of my sculpture to look like. I picture the sculpture really clearly in my head, and then I also have certain aids that I'm sure a lot of the IADR members know. I use 3D programs to help with the posing and the proportions and the anatomy of my pieces, because that's very important to me. You know, I like more realistic stuff when I do the one-of-a-kind figurative pieces, but I also have other sculpture lines where they're completely different. You know, they don't have as much detail, they're not realistic. But for my realistic pieces, I absolutely do a lot of planning, and I like to have everything ready to go so I know exactly what my next step is going to be able to achieve the exact result I want.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't always work out that way, but
Right.
at least I know that I have a plan in place to be able to get as close as possible to that outcome that I've pictured. So yeah, I'm a little control freak.
Okay, so let's talk the different types of clays. There's so many brands out there on the market.
Yes, there are.
What are your favorite clays, and how did you come to liking that particular brand of clay? Or do you actually use a mixture of different brands of clay to get a certain effect in your pieces?
I have used several brands of polymer clay. I actually started out with Super Sculpey, the beige color. I've tried Super Sculpey Firm, the gray. Ooh. I've tried Pro Sculpt. I've tried Primo. I've tried Cernit. All the other ones I have not tried. And my favorite brand of polymer clay is, hands down, without a doubt, Female Professional Doll Art.
Me too.
Before, I was just working with Pro Sculpt, and then I went to a live retreat with our president, Deb Wood. It was, I forget which one it was, but she did a demonstration on a cured head, and her clay of choice is Fimo as well. And she just did demo after demo on the durability, the flexibility and strength of the clay, which blew my mind. And so ever since then, I believe it was probably a couple years ago, I have switched exclusively to Fimo. It's just the texture, the look that it has before and after it's cured. It's an absolutely beautiful clay. To my eye anyway, it has a certain quality to it where, to me, is on a higher end. And I mean, that's just my eye. You know, I'm not any kind of authority on polymer clay. It's just my preference based on what I see and how it feels in my hand, based on the way I work with clays.
Right.
Is just a better fit for me. So, but that's my absolute favorite. Thanks to Deb Wood. Oh, I love you, Deb.
All right, now that we covered the basics, I am really excited about this next part of the conversation, because this is where we actually get to know more about you, the individual, as opposed to you, the artist. So what we want to know is what makes you tick every single day, what gives you the fuel, the fire, the energy to get out of bed, to go about your day, to make a conscious decision to be the type of person that you are on a daily basis.
What makes me tick? For as long as I can remember, I've been a pretty positive guy with a pretty upbeat outcome in general. And I'm fairly certain that has a lot to do with, if not everything to do with, my mother. She's my angel. But what makes me tick, what makes me get out of bed and all that is I want to do in my life the things that make me feel incredible on the inside. So the things that make me feel incredible on the inside, I want to translate into the outside world. And that's why I love sculpting so much. But really it's to have as many life experiences as I can, whether it be through sculpting or singing or, you know, providing an incredible life for my family, you know, my brothers and sisters, and my mom, and just all the plans that I have. I want to make sure that I have enough time to accomplish and see all of them as relatively soon as I can, because I'd like to experience all those things, you know, in my youth. And so that is I should say the core foundation of what comes after, which is the sculpting, the singing, the you know, everything else that's more tangible. Having as many experiences in life as I can while bringing my family along for the ride.
A lot of us artists are guilty of accumulating just a ton of tools and resources and tutorials. So what we want to know is, what are your favorite or go-to places to get your favorite tools and supplies, and why? How did you come about those? Was it just a matter of a reference from another artist, or did you have to actually go through trial and error to find your favorite spots right now?
It's so funny that you should say that, because I am also one of those who collected all these tutorials and all these books, watched all these videos, and looked at all of these websites, drooled over all of these artists, and I did that for 3 years before I even started sculpting. I was just paranoid that I wouldn't be able to cut it, which is such a debilitating mindset, because how do I know? How do I know that I'm not going to be pretty good at it? This was all before I even touched a bar of clay. I mean, and that's what fear does, you know. When you allow it to take over your mind, it'll keep you from everything. I mean, you know, fear is false evidence appearing real, which I learned the hard way. But it took me a while to start to sculpt. And so I have favorite places that I like to go to. For example, Judy Sorescu's one-of-a-kind Artist Emporium is absolutely phenomenal. Her inventory is so vast, it's so diverse, and there's all of it is relevant to our niche. She just has an amazing site that I hope continues to be around forever and ever and ever. So I get a lot of my embellishment and actually almost everything from Judy's site. My Fimo clay I get exclusively from Adele Chiortino's site, A for Artistic. She has the best priced Fimo that I've seen online, and I think even in stores here locally anyway. Both of those ladies, by the way, are IADR members. Woo, woo, woo. So she's where I get my clays from. Oh, she also has incredible doll hair. The finest quality that I've ever seen anywhere. It's just insane. The source where she gets it from takes such good care of their animals that the hair that comes from them is just, I've never seen anybody come close to that quality of hair. So I also get my hair from Adele. And I know I'm going to forget a resource. If I forgot you, I'm sorry. We'll put the link to any missed sites in the description. So check that out. So sorry if I forgot. I'm on the spot here.
Okay, so let's talk about accomplishments. From the beginning to today, tell me the kinds of milestones or awards, maybe some artistic associations that you've been a part of that really stand out in your mind. And if you could also kind of tell us which one of those memories was your favorite and more meaningful experience as an artist and an individual.
Successes. So the ones that are coming to mind are, I donated a art doll that I made to the LGBT Community Center in Orange County for their silent auction. And I got a certificate of appreciation from them. So that was pretty great because all of the proceeds obviously were going to go to the LGBT community, and they do a lot. So that was a highlight. Another highlight was more recently when I received the Rockstar Award from Deb Wood and our amazing IADR community. It was for 2018, and it was for services of admin and videographer for IADR. That was incredibly special because ever since, oh, I hope I don't cry. Woo! Ever since Deb offered me the admin position, I took it so seriously because I saw that as an opportunity to serve my community and my, you know, art friends and artists that I never met before but were part of the membership, where I can, you know, help get more eyes on them and their artwork, help promote them, you know, help spread visibility to the art form. And I wanted to do that carefully and the right way. So for her to give me the opportunity to be able to serve the community that and the art form that I love so deeply, that it provides me with such satisfaction, it was a huge deal for me. So there was never once a day where I took that for granted. And that's why I try to do as much as I can for IADR and its members, because it has given so much to me through the history of my membership. You know, the people that I have met through IADR, both virtually and in person through Deb's sculpting retreats, has just been memories that I am going to cherish forever. I have people now that are such great pals of mine because we had such an amazing rapport online, and then we had the memorable opportunity of meeting each other face to face at Deb's retreats. And it's incredible to feel like you have a place that you belong in, a community that you want to belong to, and to be able to serve that community is a huge honor. And I don't know if I could ever try to really fully explain how important the role of admin is to me for my friends and of IADR. It's just, that's one of my biggest memories. I've been featured several times, my artwork anyway, in Adele Chiartino's e-newsletter that she has through her A for Artistic site, which is huge. I mean, to have your work in those types of publicity, you know, it's a pretty special thing. It's a big deal for artists, you know. And I was just incredibly proud that I still remember how I felt each time those issues came out. And also, my art dolls, the Pharaoh, the female Pharaoh, she was actually featured in Art Doll Quarterly's magazine, actual print magazine. that was just, I bought my family a copy. I got myself a copy. It was a huge deal because I responded to a challenge that they have at the end of their magazines, and she was accepted into the challenge. And not only that, but she was the first sculpture that was featured in the presentation of the other entries. So she was the very first entry that people saw when people went to that section of the challenge entries. So that was even more special. And then for that same art doll, I won a gold award from Professional Doll Makers. That was pretty special. You know, it was their highest award that they do yearly. So to have her receive that award was pretty great. Those are the ones that are standing out to me the most. Now that I've rambled on, sorry.
Let's talk about selling. Now, I know that every artist would love to, you know, create their art and sell it and be paid handsomely for it. But we as artists who've been sculpting for a little while, we know the reality of that, and I'm sure you guys can agree. So have you sold your pieces to any individuals, or have you had much success selling? Because I know a lot of us struggle with that, you know, finding maybe the right way to market your sculptures, or maybe to find the right platform to do that on, whether to focus on eBay or Etsy or, you know, any other selling avenue. It could be kind of tough. So tell us what your experience has been with that, and you can feel free to elaborate on, you know, how many pieces you've sold, how long it took you to actually start selling on a regular basis, where your sculptures would sell pretty easily.
You know, I wish I've had more luck in selling my pieces. For as long as I've been sculpting, I think since, I can't even remember, 2013 maybe, I don't think I've sold one art doll. I mean, you know, I've listed them, and I've done the Etsy and the eBay, and I haven't had that success yet. You know, and it's all timing. I don't get discouraged or frustrated because I create because of how it makes me feel, not to make a sale. If I sculpted to make a sale, I would have stopped sculpting years ago because I haven't sold anything. But that's not why I do it. That's why I'm still sculpting. Because I sculpt what makes me happy, and if somebody else enjoys it enough to buy it, that's just a cherry on top for me. You know, I enjoy the process of planning and creating and seeing the finished art doll and feeling those feelings of accomplishment, of bringing an idea to a tangible form. That's the rush and the high that I aim for on every single piece. That's why I'm not too discouraged with not being an avid seller. You know, I mean, obviously I want to sell my artwork because selling it means that it's bringing kind of that type of happiness to somebody else. And, you know, that's just an incredible thing for an artist to experience.
All right, now I know a lot of us artists can be our own worst critics. So talk to me about when you finish one of your sculptures and you just kind of take a moment, sit back and look at it. Are you proud of the outcome, or are you more hard on yourself because you start nitpicking it? Oh, I should have done this better, or I don't like that because I know that I cut some corners on it and I regret doing that. So do you just kind of appreciate your artwork as a whole at the end, or do you just, you know, mentally pick it apart with your own critiques?
I used to pick apart my pieces when I finished them. I used to sit there and, like you were saying, I was just negative towards them. You know, just because I'm by nature, I'm hard on myself because I want to be better. If I'm not hard on myself and I don't push myself, then I'm never going to improve. So I used to do that, but now it's the complete opposite. Now I do appreciate it for what it is, for what it took me to get it to that point. I'm much more appreciative of my artwork now that I was before. And it just goes back to, you know, being grateful for what I'm able to do, for what I have the capability and resources to be able to do, which is to create this incredible work. It's very fulfilling. Now, as if we haven't mentioned it enough, you're a very valuable member to IADR, just like all the other members are in our membership. So I wanted to ask, being an IADR member, has that helped raise your skill level as an artist? And on a personal level, has it kind of helped you evolve? And what was your favorite IADR memory that you can think of? Absolutely. IADR has helped me grow as a person by challenging me, you know, artistically. And because it's done that, I've been able to apply that to my personal day-to-day life. You know, with the bi-monthly member shows that we have, you know, sometimes I will choose a theme to participate in that I wouldn't normally sculpt, just to expose myself to that challenge. Because if we always color inside the lines, we're never really going to expand our skill set. We're never going to grow as a person if we just keep doing what's safe. So I am very grateful that they helped me grow artistically, and because of that personally, I've also learned so much, because there's so many artists that are incredible at sharing in IADR, you know, in the forums, in our Facebook groups. They're just so willing to help. And, you know, with IADR's mentor program, Renata Jensen, she's my mentor. Hi, Renata. You're so beautiful. You're so amazing. You know, she's been incredibly helpful. I mean, her work blows my mind. So, you know, all of these services that IADR provides that I take advantage of, they really help me blossom into a better version of myself. And I could never put a price on that. It's just something that spills into life and, you know, helps you in other areas, not just in your art. Okay, well, in closing, where to from here? What is it that you want to accomplish next? You know, do you want to reach a certain skill level? Do you want to develop a different sculpture line, maybe get new skills? Where do you want to go to from here? What's your next big goal that you've set for yourself? Where to from here? So I've been dragging my feet lately with my art. Like many of you know, life gets in the way, and sometimes you get derailed. But I think subconsciously I've allowed myself to use that as an excuse to not be in the studio, because I haven't felt like being in the studio because of everything that has been going on. I don't like to force myself to go in the studio when I'm not feeling like it, because I don't want my artwork to feel like a chore. You know, I want it to be enjoyable. So if I'm not feeling it, I don't force it, because I don't want my sculpting to be associated with any negative feelings or emotions. So I refuse to do that. That's just what works for me. But I have a lot of different sculpting lines where the styles of the sculptures are completely different from one another. So I really want to just pump out those sculptures one right after another. You know, not saying that I'm going to be sloppy about it, but, you know, consistently working on all these concepts and ideas that I have to bring them to life, you know, to have those pieces of art in a tangible form. You know, I have this website where I have all my ideas, but I want them to be more than that. You know, I want to actually produce the sculptures now that come from those ideas, and start building up my portfolio. And so, you know, eventually I want to start, you know, some form of teaching, you know, how to create fantasy creatures, more like creatures that I make up. They're 2 or 3 different animals morphed into this one creature, you know, something just so different. So, you know, and doing that on some kind of internet platform, teaching platform, that's on my to-do. I also want to grow my YouTube channel more, you know, be able to help people find the art form and, you know, show them ways to, you know, get into it, let them know that it's not that scary. I think that's about it for now, anyway. Because like many of you know, I'm changing my website and my branding. Like, I changed my underwear.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure my direction is, aspirations and ideas are going to change with that.
Right.
As frequently as that.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much for all of your time and for sitting down with us to be able to give the opportunity to our IADR members and our friends to get to know you better, you know, because I'm sure that you have a ton of fans, and this is just going to be another avenue for them to be able to get to know you and your artwork as well. So thank you very much, and we're excited to see what type of fantastic pieces you put out next. Keep us in the loop, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you very much for having me. It was really special to be able to talk to all of you guys and have you get to know me a little bit more. You can get in contact with me about anything. A lot of you already know how to get a hold of me, you know, if we're connected on social media or through my website, but all the links to where you can find me and my artwork are going to be in the description below. You know, my social medias, my website, and all that, my blogs, all that stuff. Thank you guys for listening, who I am, what I have to say, and I'm excited to see who's going to be featured in the member spotlight next. Thanks, guys. Bye.